Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special video. This is the beginning of what I call an alumni series. I borrowed some of it from my work with AITC, and basically the purpose of these videos is to touch base with former ASO student leaders, presidents, student trustees, senators, vice presidents, anyone who used to be an ASO, so they can talk to us about what life has been like after their ASO journey. And today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Gabriel Douglas. He was the former vice president of club affairs. He started off in Puente, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was part of the Puente program, did some work with PTK. In addition, he was also treasurer for Region 10 of the SSCCC. And as many of you know, Region 10 is a very big part of my life, or was when I was serving as communications officer, so it has a big place in my heart. Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us today for this.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Claudia. It's nice to be here.
Great. Now, I do want to brag about you a little bit. So, Gabriel was, like I said, he was VP of Club Affairs, and he went on to transfer to UC Santa Cruz. Majored in, I believe it was business technology, or business with an emphasis in technology.
No, they have a weird major. It's called Business Management Economics. It's essentially their business program.
Their business program. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And I neglected to mention, you also did student government at the UC level, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And
yes.
You were just a young man from San Diego, like everybody else. And now, tell everybody where you are.
I'm a technical recruiter, and I pretty much help the top tech companies hire talent, engineers, security professionals, networking, big data. Very exciting field, very hot, and I love it. It's what I do. I help companies and people, so it's great. I found my niche, and I couldn't be happier.
Yes, and he's just being modest. He's in the East Bay, and he works very closely with people who've been employed in some major tech companies, including Google, Facebook, maybe even LinkedIn. I think they're up there. But you mentioned you're a recruiter, so not only do you have experience as a student leader, but you also have experience helping people get employed. And I think in this current, political and economic climate, every student leader, I think really anybody can really benefit from that. So I'm glad you're here to talk to us a little bit about your journey. I want to start off from the very beginning. So I want to kind of walk back to maybe what life was like in high school, because you came to Southwestern College right out of high school, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of person you were before you came to Southwestern? What was your life like as a high school teenager?
So in high school, in my experience, college was never promoted. I was always told I was for the rich kids, very smart people. In my high school, they told us that if you were not going to college, you were better off going to NASCO or Costco. That's what the principal said, I believe. So I always thought it was not an option. But after high school, I started to find out more about the community college system. And what the community college is, essentially a second chance. Because since high school, I pretty much barely graduated. Didn't really study, but I still got A's, B's, C's. But in community college, it's a clean slate. I was able to just maintain a pretty high 3.9 GPA, honors. So you get a chance to rebrand yourself. Because a lot of people, high school is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. A lot of people are not mature. When they're 14, 15, they're more concerned about social, friends, girls. So when you get to the community college level, it's a brand new start. You get a chance to redefine yourself again and start all over. So it's great for a lot of people that, like me, they didn't grow up with people telling you from elementary, since kindergarten, you're going to go to college and graduate. For me, I didn't even know it was an option until I was like 19. Like, oh, I can go to college. There's such thing as financial aid. I had no idea about financial aid in high school because no one spoke about it. It was only like a select group of people, the privileged. And I'm so lucky to have found into, community college and people like Puente, where they coach you about the whole system. So for me, it was just one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And as many people know, I worked as a peer ambassador for the outreach program. So my job was to go to high schools and talk to high school students. And I think a lot of people, a lot of young high school seniors are in the same situation you found yourself in, where they thought it was too late. Maybe all their friends were going to San Diego State and UCLA and all these fancy schools, and they thought, okay, well, I'll go to Grossmont or go to Southwestern, and that'll be the end of my educational career. But you're a great example of what could happen when you go to community college and you learn to really harness the power of the opportunities that are around you. So I'm glad you got a chance to mention that. So as I mentioned earlier,
Oh yeah, I mean, it's full of opportunity. Hmm.
no, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, you were heavily involved. I mean, everything from, I forgot to mention Psi Beta. So you were also a member of Psi Beta, PTK, Puente, and of course ASO. And you also served as a senator before you became VP of clubs. So you were heavily involved in student leadership. What was it about that made you want to be a part of it as opposed to athletics or journalism or any of these other ventures that exist at Southwestern?
Hmm. So after Puente, I just felt so grateful for the opportunity that it gave me so much hope that I could go to a university, transfer, get a bachelor's, even a master's if I wanted to. It just opened so many doors. And I became involved after Puente in ASO, and other groups because I wanted to give back. I wanted to spread the awareness about groups. Because groups, they create little communities where everybody has the same goal. Like, for example, Psi Beta, it's, hey, we love psychology. Let's study and become great at psychology. Let's get good grades. Let's become friends with the professors. Let's study our textbooks, but also, be on top of the news, of what's going on. Let's start getting ready to be top experts in our fields. So you get to meet like-minded people. Or, it's so cool when all your friends are just in the same page, motivated, because you can make communities of all types, you can be in either like in video games or athletics, but when you're very career focused, I think it's just a win-win because you have people that are pushing you and you're pushing them, and it creates a great synergy of everybody going towards that goal of we're going to be psychologists, we're going to be in this field, and it creates a support group. And for ASO, I mean, community college is just so special because it allows people. And it doesn't have to be fresh out of high school. It can be adults in their 20s, 30s, a chance to go back, get an affordable, high-quality education, and get on a path to graduate. And even if they're doing it part-time, even if it takes them 8 years to get their BA, at the end of the day, that's what matters, getting it. Because the BA, all it does is opens doors. Because a lot of jobs out there is, okay, it's a minimum requirement. We can't even have a conversation. You wouldn't even get an interview. But once you have it, okay, it's just like a hall pass. You have a hall pass, and then you can talk to people you otherwise would never have access to. And community college is like the first stepping stone. And that's why I was also part of the VP of clubs, because I wanted to, again, funding groups just like you. That way you have the same goals, and you can find people that support you, because a lot of people don't have family, don't have friends that tell you, hey, have you done your homework? Have you done your project? You need people like that.
That's excellent. And that's, I think, the perfect segue into sort of this next topic of, okay, one of the big selling points of being involved in ASO is this is something that looks great on an application for a school, but also for a job application, for a resume. And you've gotten a chance to do student government at, almost every level, from the California Community College level, the UC level, the local level, the regional level, the statewide level. So you've gotten a chance to see different facets of it. You've been involved in different projects in student leadership. How were you able to incorporate that into your resume when you finally graduated and you had to get a job? What did you put on your resume for ASO? How did you incorporate that into your job search?
So at first, I had it under my experience. Once I became a recruiter and I got to learn ins and outs, it's actually better to have a leadership or extracurricular section dedicated to this stuff, because you're not really getting paid, right? And also, all of your jobs, all your professional commitments should be at least 6, ideally 12 months. Otherwise, they're not really worth mentioning, but they do portray that you are someone that's organized, responsible. The whole purpose of the resume is for you to showcase your soft skills. And part of the soft skills is being able to hold a position, that you can have responsibility, that you can be given some power, and that you're going to deliver on what you commit yourself to. So it's great. And like my first job in 2017, I was working for UCSC. And when I was interviewing, they're like, wow, you were involved at this levels. And I've met a lot of friends that were also involved. They ended up having schools at universities. So especially places of higher education, they really respect that. And I can tell you from experience. But you should put it on your resume. Your resume should always be ideally one page, especially if you're entry level. But it's great to have it. But I would recommend that you put a second category, which is extracurriculars or leadership, because professional experience is when you're getting paid.
That's a very good tip. So put student leadership, ASO experience under leadership, not under job experience.
Mm-hmm.
Very good advice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Also, it's very important that when you sell your experience, don't say what was your responsibilities. Talk about results. Talk about what you accomplished. And if you were actually spearheading projects, even better. Because I'm a recruiter, and what we want to hear is just results. I did this. I accomplished that. I set up this. Like if you're part of a committee, if you were doing the minutes, try to focus on stuff that has impact. Impact and accomplishments. Stuff that has legacy. Because that's what employers are looking for. They want to bring on people that will get stuff done. They want doers. And they're looking for winners at the end of the day. So make your resume very action-oriented. Now, I did this. I accomplished this. That's a lot better.
Very good. And I'm sure there are so many student leaders whose tenures have ended, people like myself who are watching this thinking, oh, this is perfect. This is going to make all the difference. And hopefully it does. And I know we also may have some people watching who haven't joined ASO yet, or maybe their term hasn't begun, or perhaps they are thinking of joining ASO, but they're not quite sure what they have to gain, or I don't know, what have you. But given your level of experience, and given everything you know now, what would you say to yourself if you could go back to, Gabriel when he was perhaps just a teenager starting off in Puente and ASO and was still looking for what would you tell yourself if you could go back?
I wish I would have networked more and stayed on top of connections because, 4 out of 5 jobs, professional jobs, come from people that you know and that know you. And I'm talking about like the professional jobs. So it's always just best to have a network and not just become friends, meet up once or twice. With our technologies like Outlook or even Google Calendar, you want to stay in touch. Like if you happen to get a mentor, don't only talk to them when you need a recommendation or you're interviewing and you want them to say nice things. Organize your calendar so you can email them maybe once a month or maybe every other month, because people are the number one source of full-time permanent jobs. So do network, but stay in touch. And we have Google, we have all these different tools. It's easier than ever to set up reminders, recurring reminders, do a phone call, send an email. And for them, they appreciate it a lot. And a network is what's going to get you from a good job to a better job. And do network as much as you can. Also, if you know the field that you want to be a part of, try to join groups. Because, like for example, when I was considering doing project management, I started going to PMI meetings. And I was getting people like, hey, once you graduate, here, give me a call. I have this job I want you to check out. And it was just so great. I decided to do recruiting instead. But join professional groups. Like if you want to be something, find a group, a professional organization. And if they have monthly or bi-monthly meetings, attend. I mean, it's just a great source to find good jobs. And not just that, since they're recruiting you, these managers, I mean, you have a great chance of getting it. So go attend, be professional. And I want to take a step back. A great thing about the whole student involvement is it's not just about I got my degree, I have the skills. Soft skills are just as important. Being a team player, having a great attitude, knowing how to communicate. I believe student government helps you with those interpersonal skills. Soft skills are just as important as the hard skills. Even if you're a coder, it's very important knowing how to communicate and being a team player.
Excellent. Soft skills. Awesome. Great advice. And I'm so grateful that you've been able to share it with everybody. I know that this last ASO term has been difficult. We were just under some dark clouds. I'm sure maybe you've read. And, in addition to that, with COVID-19, our last semester was cut short. I mentioned before, I love saying it. I mean, you're in the East Bay, you are surrounded with tech companies and startup companies, and there's a chance that some companies can be big, the next Google, and then some are still kind of starting off. But, what advice would you give, a class of 2020 graduate who's living in Chula Vista, they have their associates, and maybe they have a little student leadership experience, maybe they were part of the anthropology club or part of PTK or something. And they're looking to get a job, maybe even a part-time summer job. Any last words, any pieces of advice you would give that person?
Yes, I would recommend to be proactive. By that, keep trying to network with people, improve your skills. Don't take this time to just be on Netflix and playing video games. Read books on your field because when you interview, they're going to test your general knowledge of the field. And also, I would recommend study the industry and the companies that you want to target. Check out their websites, look at their news. I would recommend you do like a list of like 10 companies that you most want to get into and try to become a mini expert. That way, when you interview with them, you'll be really prepared. Look at the news, look at the financial statements, financial reports, quarterly reviews, because that's just going to give you a big edge. When people interview, the more you know about the company, the better. That way you're already an insider. And also when you do interview, study as much as you can the interviewers and try to find things that you have in common. That's just a tip that I would suggest. So be proactive and, make a list of like 10 companies that you want to work for, like your dream 10, and start to study them, follow them. That way when you interview, because the competitive market is very competitive. These tech companies, everybody wants to work for them and everybody knows about them. So the bar to get in it's pretty high and you have to be as prepared as you can. So study them, follow them if you can, read their financial reports. You want to be as prepared as you can, and you want to be able to ask good questions at the end. And don't forget to always study in depth your interviewer.
That's excellent. And I think it's great advice as well. I think for a lot of these learning communities. Yeah, but you mentioned, do your research, have a list of 10 companies that you want to work for and do your research on each. I feel like that's something that we emphasize a lot at a community college level when it comes to transferring, right? What's your dream school? Where do you want to go? Okay, well, make a list of deadlines, find out what the, student life is like, and then write your essay centered around that. So, I think it's great that we do it with transferring, but it's equally as important to do it with the job market as well. So very grateful that you said that. Well, I think this was extremely educational, and I thank you so much for joining us today. I do want to give you a little bit of time to maybe give us some parting words, maybe let everybody know where they can find you.
I couldn't hear you like the last half a minute.
Oh,
sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, let me try again. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining us. Was there any parting word that you would like to share, or maybe let viewers know where they can find you?
I can't hear you, but it sounds like you said thanks. And I'm happy you had me here because I've always wanted to give back to the community. That's why I also became a recruiter, because I just want to help out others. I feel like it's my mission to just help as many people as I can.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll just keep in touch with him. And he says I want him. I'll keep in touch, and I'll let everybody know who's watching where you can find him. I'll leave a link, his links in the description if you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining, and we will be producing more of these videos soon. Take care, everybody.